Happy full moon in Pisces. I hope y'all can hear me good. I've been working on the sound quality issues that I've been having at this new location. So fingers crossed. Hopefully this is better for y'all. I am titling this Tense Emotions Release Revelations on Creating Meaningful Change. Um, And I gotta put a bit of a disclaimer out there, warning, warning. I am having a lunar return right now. Yes, my natal moon is in Pisces, so I've been in my field, and hopefully that benefits you. Um, and we're all tapping into the intuition, or at least we can, with this energy, especially those Pisces out there. Okay, no, this is not the tarot reading. That'll be on the 10th, Saturday evening. So if you want the tarot reading for your sign, you got to request it on my community page. And those of you who are subscribed and activated the bell for notifications, you already got that notification. So some of you have already requested signs. Thank you very much. But I do want to put this portion up here where we just give a general overview of the astrology. Before we get into the tarot for the signs, I will pull a collective card draw. Actually, I've got two decks here. If you watch to the end, I'm going to pull collectively a card draw. And then when we do the live tarot Saturday night on the 10th, which is going to be tomorrow night, right? Because I'm filming this Friday night. So when we do that live tarot, we'll get into a lot more specifics about your sign. And I'm super excited about that, by the way, because we're going to go even deeper into the astrology, um, that I'm talking about in this video. But in that card reading, I'm going to go even deeper into talking about what needs to be released for you and what actions you need to take and yada, 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 all the stuff that we're going to cover today right now in the astrology. So it's all dovetailing. It all makes sense. Hope you stay tuned to the end. I do have to say a couple just housekeeping memos out there I got to put out. Indulge me for a moment, please, if I am talking too slow with my southern drawl. You may adjust the playback speed by clicking on your mobile device. Click on the video to bring up that gear icon that's in the top right corner of the screen. Then select playback speed, and it's probably on normal speed right now. You might want to put it at 1.25 to get me talking a little bit quicker if I'm going too slow for you. Um, Also, a reminder, some people ask me, do you still do private readings? Absolutely, I still do private readings. The information is in the description box. And I have the links down below as well to my website. Hopefully, I will get that link pinned in the comments down below for y'all that are interested. I charge roughly $1.99 per minute. That's like, 15 minutes for $30 is the smallest amount of time. And I like to do tarot astro as much as possible because I love to look at your astrology to give insight into the cards I'm pulling complementary to that astrology. Okay, so um, also a reminder, something new that happened, and I put a message out there, but some of you might have missed it. This channel is now 100% supported by viewers like you. That means I don't get money from AdSense revenue. I don't have sponsors. I'm not selling you merch. No, 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 no. This is 100% viewer supported channel. So the way that I pay my bills and keep my mission in life moving is because of people like you, either getting private readings or putting maybe $1 or $5 in that tip jar. I will have links down below. Your support is much appreciated. That said, let's get on to talking about the nuts and bolts of this energy with a full moon in Pisces. Okay. I think that definitely there's going to be some, positives and not so positive, right? There's a duality with energy, and we've got to discuss that if we're being fair. And there's a lot of people who are very much highlighting the positives right now, which are that, yes, you're going to have increased access to empathy and divine downloads. This is also going to be a very good time with the sun in Virgo to do a digital detox and try to reset your energy out in nature. I really want to film out in nature right now for y'all, but it is so blasted hot out here in Texas, so I just couldn't do it. But off camera, definitely getting out in nature a lot more these days. I encourage you to do the same. The challenges with this energy, which in all fairness we need to address, is that it may at times be difficult to be constructive and let go of dysfunction, toxicity, and instability in relationships. This can also be a time where psychosomatic issues, illnesses can come up, where maybe you're dealing with ailments that seem to be in the body, but there's actually a mind body spirit connection. I've actually talked a lot more about this. I put out a video on the emotional body and how to heal it. And I'm probably going to put out a message on my community page of the emotional body map. Really tune in right now to where you're feeling pain in your body right now. Like I was sitting with this yesterday, and I was feeling a lot of pain in my lower back, which for me is usually, I feel it up here on the right side and my shoulder, okay, but in the lower back, um, I've been feeling a lot more pain. Now, granted, yes, I can come up with a rational explanation. I've been moving things around. I've been doing a lot of projects around the house. As many of you know, I recently moved. So we can rationalize this all away, Sun and Virgo, right? But is there a spiritual, emotional connection, Moon and Pisces, right? And if you look at the emotional body map, I can even see, what the meaning of that is for me. And it can mean this feeling of I can't be myself. I've got to please others. And, Pisces is a lot of sometimes self martyrdom because we're so busy pleasing people that we blur our own boundaries. We fail to look out for ourselves. A lot of self sabotage. Um, and that's just a little bit of personal sharing relating with all my Pisces placements, right, that are getting triggered right now. So see how maybe you are getting triggered at this time with really tuning into what your body, pain in your body is communicating to you, and really sitting with it and asking, is there a spiritual, emotional connection that needs to be healed as well? I would say collectively also, this energy of the full moon in Pisces is probably going to bring up issues within families, issues having to do with food, sustenance. That's getting illuminated. And it might be concerning restrictions that people are facing, disappointments they're facing with these issues, maybe having need of charity or some type of relief. Those issues are coming up for a lot of people with the full moon in Pisces collectively. Also, waterways, rivers might be relevant in some respect. I've been hearing people talk about flooding with this energy, and it has in fact been raining a lot more over the last week after a period of drought in a lot of areas in the world, definitely here in Texas where I'm from. But then on another train of thought, it's bringing me to what's going on with the shipping of food grains coming out of Ukraine related to the conflict in Russia, and reports coming out that a lot of the food relief that's needed for the most vulnerable families in the world, people in third world countries, okay, they're getting a mere fraction of those shipments coming out of Ukraine. Oddly, these shipments are uh, allegedly being hoarded by less vulnerable nations, okay, like the EU, UK. And that's just war rumors that I'm hearing online. And so we are seeing collectively these issues coming up. But yes, the collective issues are impacting us on a very individual level, right? When this is affecting food prices, and food prices are causing strain, unnecessary strain, and maybe even strife within homes, it's all interrelated, okay? And this is occurring while the sun is in Virgo, as I said before. So there's this dichotomy coming up between Virgo and Pisces, which are opposite signs, right? Of the spiritual Pisces versus the physical Virgo in terms of your well-being. Some of you also might be experiencing trouble sleeping, as I did last night. I don't know why. I was just in and out, couldn't really stay in my sleep and have quality sleep. I mean, I was up at like 5 in the morning and dealing with that. Okay, so if some of you are having difficulties with your sleep, realize that may be part of the issue. Others of you, if you're not, okay, if you're sleeping well, my gosh, if you've been getting some divine downloads, pay attention to your dream activity during this time. But yeah, if however this issue of spiritual, physical well-being is manifesting itself, really look at what is draining you right now and what's replenishing you. Are you taking care of you? Are you looking out for you? Who's looking out for you? I had to confront myself with this the other day because I've been working on projects, for family members. And I started realizing, I'm neglecting my own personal business, and who's looking out for me? And I had to have a good, solid, sober Virgo talk with my Pisces self. Okay, this has to do with boundaries, really, boundaries coming up, and you looking at, during this time, what can I do to take better care of me? Have I been engaging in some level of self-sabotage during the day, putting myself aside to prioritize people or things or circumstances that are maybe not prioritizing you, depending on things you can't depend on? Or I think you get the idea. This is a time when we've got to really look at how also do we honor our needs without abandoning others, or vice versa. How do you honor others' needs without abandoning your own? Because I don't want to say this is a black or white easy thing, that it's either this or that. I do feel as we get deeper into this video, I'm going to talk about how relationships are factoring in this dynamic of self versus other. And so I don't really want to encourage this it's me versus them type of thing. It's more of how do we negotiate constructively so that we create win-win solutions in life. And I think there's a lot of conflict right now going on because people are feeling that their best interests and needs are not being taken into consideration by others. So this is a time of letting go in some situations where you cannot find balance, you cannot find healing. Letting go of addictions, letting go of excess, illusions as well, being deceived, deceiving yourself because it felt good, because it's what you wanted to believe. But, what's the sober reality of the situation? And do you need to in some way release some unnecessary burdens? Maybe burdens that you took on due to false pretenses. You didn't fully understand, or there's been a change of plans, and now it's a totally different set of circumstances. You've got to readjust, recalibrate with all this retrograde energy we'll talk more about in a moment. Let me say also with the sun in Virgo, collectively, this is putting a lot of people's attention on the energy sector, right? What's going on with the talk of the power grid and, electricity rationing and all of that. The labor force production is also being highlighted. Issues of sickness versus healing, which could go all the way back to 2020. You know, all this retrograde energy that we're in right now, 6 planets are causing us to really look back and go within, and that with that reflection about these issues that I'm bringing up here and now. Again, so these are maybe con issues coming up with the sun in Virgo, yet given the layers of retrograde energy, these con issues cause you to start going inward, reflecting back, maybe as far back as 2020, that we were dealing with these issues of spiritual, physical well-being, sickness versus healing. And then, of course, the sun in Virgo will bring up issues with agriculture and produce. Again, we go back, this is another layer of what's going on with the food supply. And, that's impacting people globally, but individually, that's impacting families, relationships, where, yes, we might see strife coming up because of resources and self-sufficiency with the North Node in Taurus. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But let me say, Mars in Gemini is squaring this moon in Pisces, this full moon in Pisces. So the positive of this is that Mars in Gemini is going to help us to know what kind of action we need to take, what is needed. It's going to help us to process and discern the information coming in that's helping us to make a logical, knowledgeable, informed decision. But because this is a square, we're talking about a challenge here. And the challenge is that there's a lot of restless, nervous energy, particularly with the sun in Virgo. That's, adding to it. And also the oversensitivity with the moon in Pisces. And so we can get a lot of verbal sparring, a lot of combativeness going on in conversations. And it might have to do with repressed anger that people are feeling that's rising up to the surface in these disagreements, okay? And you could find that during this time, people are very quick to escalate arguments. And that it's taking some relationship skills to de-escalate, because you could be getting triggered as well with people having stellar meltdowns. It's not you, them. And in extreme cases, you might even see people just seething with anger, leaking resentment that's just been festering underneath the surface for so long, and it's almost like they're frothing at the mouth, not fully, maybe you or them, not even fully understanding the subconscious roots of all this stuff that's going on at the surface or rising to the surface. Because when we talk about Pisces, we are talking about the subconscious realm, And with this being a release, there's something, culminating. I'm hearing crescendo, okay, coming to a crescendo, a high point. So I think the solution here, or the best advice that I can come up with for now, is to try to honor your need for rest. And take a time out in these conversations. If things get too heated, If it's too hot in the kitchen, get on out, if you need to. And as soon as you're able, try to address these feelings of hopelessness, fears of abandonment, fears of being sabotaged, fears of having a lack of support, and try to really use that intuition and tune into what is distracting you right now, what is derailing you from your path, your purpose, your priorities. You could just simply ask yourself, with whatever is going on right now, with what's really like got you feeling maybe these tense emotions, ask yourself, is this relationship or this situation, is this adding or taking away from you, from your life? And ask yourself how you're adding or taking from others and their lives. And if there's an imbalance, is there a way that you can correct it? Is there a way you can come into agreement to find a win-win solution for both of you to find balance in getting your needs met? Now, I want to put a reminder out there, since we're talking about Mars and Gemini, that we're going to be in this energy for the next 7 months. It's not going away anytime soon, okay? We will have Mars and Gemini until March 25th of 2023, and it will go retrograde the last 2 months of this year. So, be careful with that, okay? And I say that because when Mars goes retrograde, there can be a feeling of your assertion being blocked, it not being a good time to take on new tasks or actions or whatever. A lot of people say when Mars is retrograde, don't start a conflict because it's probably not going to end well. My advice is to try to take your action, like if you know right now that this is what I need to do, then do it. Okay, do it now. Do it as soon as you can. Do it before Mars goes retrograde on October 30th. But do bear in mind that it is already in shadow right now. As of September 3rd, it has gone into shadow. So assertion is already being tested. You probably already know what I'm talking about. I'm sure if you sit with it and think about it, there are already clues to show you where the cracks in your foundation are in terms of your plans of action, okay? If you've been depending on people or things that have shown themselves to be undependable, the writing is on the wall, okay? It's time to release, regroup, re-strategize, fill in the blank with all the re's, because we've got 6 planets right now in retrograde, okay? At least by the time of this full moon, we will, okay? So do not expect for this issue to just auto-magically get better, right? That would be very Piscean. It'll work itself out. No, we've got 6 planets in retrograde. It's time to rethink, re-strategize, regroup. And in my book, as I've said many times before, I'll say it again, I feel that false optimism is more dangerous than pessimism. With the sun in Virgo, it's time to deal with reality, the reality check, okay? Grounded manifestation should be our goal at this point. Let me also say collectively, Mars in Gemini is very much highlighting military action. And with the square, it's likely that military forces are in some way creating conflict, difficulties, Yes, we know about what's going on with rest of Ukraine. I'm hearing other rumors of people instigating um, different conflicts in other areas, right? These difficulties and conflicts are impacting transportation, as we well know, it's already happening. And we're probably going to continue to hear more about this and more people talking about this, especially as we approach here in the United States midterm selections. And yes, I'm going to call it selections because I've gotten censored before for calling it something else. So I'm not touching that word with a 10-foot pole. Moving on. Um, this moon also is conjunct Neptune retrograde. So it's just another layer here of enhanced intuition and empathy that's enabling us to put ourselves in other people's shoes, see their point of view. And it's also enhancing the divine downloads I mentioned earlier. So do pay attention to your dream activity, visions, follow your gut, trust your gut during this time. But there is this word of caution here that Neptune is adding this increased inclination towards escapism, drug abuse. Many of us know that a lot of people, at least here in the United States, dealing with the fentanyl crisis, right? A lot of people trying to check out of reality can't deal with the sobriety sun in Virgo, right? So also the issue here with Neptune retrograde conjunct the moon is a lot of people having either unclear emotions or poor coping mechanisms for dealing with these emotions. And like I said before, this is possibly coming from a place of repressed anger, unhealed hurts from the past, people looking for a rescuer when nobody's coming to rescue you except yourself. I mean, I hate to say I gotta take my own advice with all my Pisces placements. You know, somebody should have told me at birth, nobody's coming to rescue you. Like, I've learned this the hard way. I'm pushing 50 now, and I know nobody's got the memo. I got it loud and clear. But it's rough, all right. And many of us are just now getting the memo, or we're learning how to process this memo, right? Um, Another thing that's clouding current issues, I think you're going to find with this communication and in these conversations, not only are people confused within themselves, but you get into the conversations and trying to talk it out with people, and you start finding yourself in a place of like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here? What does that have to do with this? Because maybe you think you're talking about a now issue and they're talking about something that happened years or decades ago for all you know, or you're like, well, what that, I thought that had to do with somebody else. Why are you dragging me into it? You know, um, the sun in Virgo is challenging you to see and clean up emotional mess, conflation of issues, okay? Um, but are you or someone in your life catastrophizing something from the past that actually can be constructively resolved in the here and now? Is Are you or somebody in your life allowing the past to overshadow and overrun what's going on in the here and now? You know, playing victim, being passive, blame shifting, rather than really saying, look, I'm sorry, I can't fix that from the past, but what can we do now to ensure it doesn't happen again, or to resolve this issue at hand so that I'm not hearing about this next year or in the next decade about how this was or wasn't done. Can we deal with today's problem? You know, that constructively. All right. This is about getting into a mindset of taking more action in terms of making life happen for you rather than letting life happen to you. And I think that this is the question that Mars and Gemini have for us over the next 7 months. But again, with this Neptunian conjunction retrograde, can you see it clearly? Are issues from the past fogging, conflating current issues and constructive solutions in the here and now? Collectively, this energy of Neptune conjunct this full moon is bringing about major national and international events involving mega corporations, the stock market, investors, inflation, big pharma, the fentanyl crisis, the energy sector. All these issues are coming into increasing prominence in the headlines, in the news, especially in terms of how fraud, schemes, deception has restricted families and food supply to the point of financial bondage, deserving of charity and relief. Now, we've also got another layer of energy here with this full moon in Pisces sextiling Uranus, and which is retrograde as well, and also sextiling that north node in Taurus. So this could bring about, on an individual level, some very sudden realizations or pivotal moments. I don't know why I always trip over that word, almost always. Pivotal moments that come up unexpectedly. And the good thing about this is that in some way, these little twists and turns somehow increase your understanding of your values versus other people's values, may bring you into this revelation of, aha, this is why I can't get their support. This is why maybe I can't give them mine. I can't give them my support because we're not on the same page. So, might again be some sober reality checks, but the positive is that it's enabling a more conscious, intentional living, to where you're like, you know what, we're not on the same page. We don't have the same value system. We're not going in those same directions. So I can't really, this is not a viable partnership. This is not really an ally. Maybe they want to help me. Maybe they like to help me, but they can't. Or right now it's just not their priority, or they don't share my vision or my understanding or whatever, fill in the blank. But these realizations, these revelations might result in you ultimately surrendering to making an unconventional choice that you didn't initially see or want to make. You maybe suddenly shift gears and choose a totally different path than what you had previously envisioned or agreed upon, because now you have this new insight about values. You come to this thought process of, I thought I could rely upon that, but now that I know I can't, I guess I'm going to have to go do this instead. Now, collectively, this energy can bring about events with technology, trade unions, electricity, the energy sector, that are bringing about some radical sudden changes or some reforms. And we've been seeing more of this in the news, right? News coming out of areas like California and the UK, where the government is mandating rationing of electricity. So, there's this idea that in some way, again, with the North Node, all of this in Taurus, this energy in Taurus is like, oh, we're trying to make changes here to impact the banking financial system. Blame it on Russia, blame it on global warming, whatever. But that is what is happening. It's just another layer of energy coming to the forefront right now during this time of the full moon in Pisces, which is also trining the South Node in Scorpio. So that is giving an extra push on an individual level for us to let go or let something in, such as a relationship or a way of relating to others, while being more cognizant of how do I honor my values and theirs? Can I? And if you're not clear on what those values are or what needs to end, okay, what needs to be let go of at this full moon, then it's really a time when you need to quiet yourself from the distractions, of which there are many, as I said before, and there will continue to be many with Mars and Gemini over the next 7 months. But with this full moon in Pisces, you have the ability to really pull back, tap into your intuition, and realize what is distracting you and draining you right now from your values and your priorities with that North Node in Taurus. And realize also at this time what is replenishing you and enabling you to honor those things and what you've got to release in order to do so. Again, that South Node in Scorpio is really pushing. And some of you, you need to go look at your charts, you know, and you need to, it's very important right now to look at, you know, where the North Node, where the North and South nodes are in your natal chart. I might do a video, maybe I'm going to do a collective video on that at some point in time. Comment down below or give me a like if that's, you'd like to hear more talk about that, okay? I do feel collectively with, you know, this full moon trining the South Node in Scorpio, we are definitely going to see continued release of secrets having to do with the misuse and abuse of power involving death, debt, taxes, and yes, that's some pretty dark stuff, but on the positive, this is bringing, I think, some favorable, fortunate circumstances, definitely with this trine. It brings me to that saying, the truth sets you free, but first it'll piss you off, right? And finally, I want to mention Mercury in Libra retrograde opposing Jupiter retrograde in Aries at this time. Okay, so, you know, we're talking about, you know, when we're talking about Libra and Aries, we're talking about others versus self. We're talking about Mercury and Jupiter. We're talking about thinking and communication versus getting expansion out there. And when with an opposition, there's some kind of pushback being experienced between these two contrasting energies, okay? Pay attention to the realizations and understandings that are coming out at this time, all the information, the divine downloads, the intuition, what is coming out at this time, what's being realized by you, what revelations are you being given at this time. And by reflecting on relationships, past and present, and really sitting with, you know, as difficult as it might be, sitting with the emotional tension of these moments and what they're uncovering for you, realize that it is giving you some valuable information and insight about letting go of what's distracting you and derailing you from getting the expansion in your life that you desire. And it might be a belief system, a way of thinking, or a way of relating to others. And collectively, I think it's manifesting with this rising cost of living for individuals. A lot of people are dealing with this, and it's creating, unfortunately, a lot of conflict and confrontation in relationships about resources dependency, codependency versus healthy interdependency. No man being an island unto himself. We need each other. We're social creatures, you know. Hyper independence during these times is not realistic. But how do we not drain others or let ourselves be drained? How can we constructively replenish ourselves and replenish others when we're dealing collectively with a rising cost of living that's creating a lot of conflict and confrontation in these relationships? So I do think that we're going to see more stories of this kind of bad news, unfortunately, in the news, and a lot of disagreements and discord coming out where people realize, oh, this is a deal breaker. You know, me trying to join forces or cooperate with this person or this group or whatever, it just becomes a deal breaker because you realize it's not sustainable. We don't share values. And over the long term, how can we how can this relationship endure if we're not on the same page and we don't share values? So let me see what the cards are saying collectively. I'm going to close out with some messages about that. Let's see what the card says about what needs to be released collectively with this full moon in Pisces. All right, and we got that trust in reverse. And that takes me to South Node in Scorpio, which, you know, Scorpio is a lot about trust issues, intimacy, okay? But with that coming in reverse, some of you are not addressing, some of you lack of faith in the universe, some of you lack of trust in the resources, the relationships. There is mistrust that needs to be addressed. It needs to be faced and confronted constructively to move forward with this energy. And I have hunger in reverse as well. Some of you, this is literally about, you know, food shortages, rising costs of living, okay? I mentioned earlier, collectively with the energy, yes, on a very basic level, this is impacting a lot of families, a lot of people. For others of you, this is taking on more of a metaphorical, you are hungry for things in your life, for expansion. You desire certain things that I'm hearing are evading you or are elusive to you in some respect. You're like, I don't know how to reach and grasp for that thing. Every time I try, it just runs through my hands like sand. I'm hearing figure out where the fault lines are, okay? The cracks in your foundation. You've got to form empowering connections, agreements that mutually empower, not what you think they need or want or what they think you should need or want, but what they expressly say, this is what I need and want in my life. How can I help you help me? How can we honor? How can we trust? How can we follow through? And some of you need to release people who, for whatever reason, cannot be relied, dependent upon. Whether they mean well or not, they just flat can't, won't. It's a distraction. It's a distraction. You need to get in alignment with the people who are in alignment with you. People who you can trust, you can depend on, people who are going to reciprocate. I know it's easier said than done. I'm getting several cards here. Wow, getting a lot here. At the foundation, fiery climax approaches, full moon in Aries. I don't know when that next full moon in Aries is happening, okay, and I don't know that that's necessarily relevant, but some of you, I feel like this is here and now. Some of you are going to feel very like wanting to ram your way through and get what you want. Here's new moon in Taurus. Prosperity lies ahead. New start is coming. What do you need to release? Step out of your comfort zone. Show the world the real you. Well, let me look at my calendar and see what moons are coming up. I do feel like right with the full moon, we're going to have a new moon in about 2 weeks, and that's going to give an opportunity for having that new beginning. But you got to get really honest with yourself and get sober and real with these reality checks. Of what you need to let go and get out of your way in order. I'm hearing something about trim the fat, okay? Excess, drop it, dropping burdens or not taking on any more burdens. You got to clear the way before this, right? Release what you need to release so that you can get this new beginning. And let's see, we do have a new moon in Libra on the 25th of this month, okay? And this is going to be a new beginning with relationships, by the way. Of course, I'm going to talk more about it then. So if you want to be in on that, tarot reading, then let's do it. Make sure you're subscribed and you've activated the bell for notifications so that, you're with us when we go live on the 25th, okay? But I see, new beginning in relationship at the end of the month. In the meantime, now is the time to let go and release whatever is holding you back from the new beginnings, having to do probably, I really sense prosperity. And when I say prosperity, I don't mean just money. Yes, it includes that. But also we're talking about what prospers your mind, body, spirit, okay? Again, the spiritual, physical well-being. But some of you are going to have to step out of your comfort zone with the North Node, finding your own feet, letting go of depending on people who are undependable, trusting people that can't be trusted, okay? Giving your power away to people who are misusing, abusing the power. And then with this full moon in Aquarius, which I believe we had about a month ago, show the world the real you. This is really about being authentic, okay? Get real with yourself. And some of you, I'd say a month back, have been getting, with all this lunar energy, been taken to task in terms of what do you need to do to get real with yourself. Where did we have that new? I'm trying to look for it real quick on my calendar. We had a full moon in Aquarius. Yeah, on the 11th of August. So around that time frame, 11th of August, as far back as then, about a month ago, you were being asked to get real. What do you need? Express it. Be real with yourself and others about what you need. But yes, some of you are really getting pushed out of your comfort zone to go after self-sufficiency, okay? Look at that natal chart, see where the North Node is transiting your birth chart, or come to me for a private reading if you want help with that. Right now, though, you got to get some stuff out of your way for that new start that is coming around the 25th with these relationships, contracts with that new moon in Libra. All right, I'm leaving off on that note, and like I said, make sure that if you want to get tarot reading for your sign, that you have let me know on my community page, and that you are subscribed and you've activated the bell for notifications. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, thank you so much for your support.